then 21 or more minutes, our fee schedule will be $65 and the amount will be the $33.92. For traditional Medicare, they are covering the e-visits. All the other insurance, it's just dependent on the actual plan that they have. Some will cover it and some may not, but it just depends. And then as far as the modifiers for traditional Medicare, the business office will continue using the GP modifier. And then there is an additional CR modifier that will need to be included, and this indicates that it was a catastrophe disaster related, which is how we were able to bill these visits. And I'll explain it to you. So as far as the documentation requirements, there's 3 main parts of the documentation that we have to include. One, we need to have indication that the patient did initiate this e-visit. We also have to have a verbal consent received from the patient for the e-visit. And then we need to have documentation to support the billing. So the way Optimus PTS helped us out with this is under the, I know in there it shows under the reason for referral, but it's actually the patient status tab. For the reason for referral, when you go into it and you click on the little plus sign, under subcategory, you're gonna change it to virtual healthcare. So with virtual healthcare, these are the 3 prompts that you'll click on to add to that document for that day. So number 1 is that the patient has initiated and consented for an e-visit. And then they want us to include why we're performing it. So the e-visit was performed in response to the COVID-19 public health crisis and will remain the preferred treatment method until deemed appropriate to resume in-person clinical care. And then the 3rd one is this e-visit was performed how? So how did you perform it? Did you use one of those options or did you do a phone call? And it also is a free text. So like with the one that Armando gave, I don't think it's on there.
Yeah,
it is on there. Well, let's say there was another one, the teams that we did, if so, we would put the teams on there. So all 3 of those would be checked and then it would get added to your document for that day. Continuing on the documentation, so to continue the e-visit, you'll go under the treatment tab. The visit type will be selected as e-visit, and I'll show you an example of it right now. The e-visit code needs to be added to your treatment tab. And for the under the interactions window, you're gonna include the date. In parentheses, you'll put the cumulative time that you spent for that day with the patient, and you'll put any review of any medical records, conversation with any of the caregivers, or any clinical decision making that was associated with that day during that specific cumulative time. If there's additional interactions, you're gonna just keep adding those dates to it, because the patient doesn't have to only have that e-visit for that one specific day. They can have multiple within that 7-day time span. And Optimus PT is recommending that you only close it at the end of that 7th visit in case you do have the patient that wants to reach that other follow-up call with you or wants you to communicate with them. Questions on that?
Yeah, just to clarify, I could have multiple 2-minute sessions with them that add up to the 5 to 10 minute period, and I could charge 1 call, right?
Right.
But
Yes.
on the 7th day, I have to document that that's what occurred.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so like today you may have just 5 minutes. Tomorrow it may be, or let's say the day after you followed up with them because they had a question on their HEP or whatever it may be in that day, let's say you spent 10 minutes. And then you have the 3rd day within that 7-day time period, yes. At the end, it'll be the cumulative of those 3. But you have to document each visit that you made or each communication that you have with them. So then just to show you example of how it'll show, as of right now, Optimus PT hasn't added the actual e-visit as the type of it, but it will be in that box. So you'll have the e-visit type on there. So the 3 codes will be added. And it was recommended to that you add all 3 of them at the beginning of that first visit. And then once you're done with the 3, so that way then you can select whichever one you're going to use. You're not going to put the time until you. So the next one is total the time. So you're going to put however many minutes here. And right here at the bottom is where it was recommended that you document your date, however many minutes, and then just what you did during that. Question?
So you're just billing once?
You're just
Wait till all of it's done and you bill it on the final day of the
Accumulate everything you did.
submit to the
on your task?
A regular. They do qualify for an because that's the only way we'll be able to communicate with them via the. That must include the date of the e-visit. This is where we'll send the patient all the information, when their e-visit will be, the time, who they're gonna be seen by, or. After we receive that email confirmation, we'll print and scan that into their documents, and then we'll label it as e-visit confirmation. Like I said earlier, for the payment procedure, if they do decide to come in and self-pay, since we are the patient's not coming in physically, we would need to collect the money ahead of time. So we'll have to get the credit card details. The e-visit. So then we can offer the private pay option like I said, maybe 25, 45, just to elaborate, we cannot initiate, so front office, you can't tell patient, do you want to send an e-visit? They have to come up to us and tell us, oh, Amanda suggested that you guys have e-visits, then we can go ahead.
How do you know what to charge? Because we don't know how long we're gonna be seeing this patient over. I mean, if we see him 2 or 3 days, that time increases, how are you gonna know what to bill them?
Yeah, we're gonna need to tell them.
We'll have to tell
We're
them
gonna tell them up front.
this is,
Right. To,
depending on what you want to be talking to the therapist, that's how we'll define what.
We're gonna make it really short. Going 2 minutes.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I have a question. So on the very first information, the slide, when it says what is an e-visit, where it's talking about the patient, like you said, needs to initiate. But my question is, because if possible, I'd like to get this on all our social media platforms and website as far as educating the patient, that we can continue this way. But my question would be, in order to recoup all that we've lost thus far, can we notify the patients, because they're still in episode of care, but they're not coming in, can we call them to notify this, that this is going on, especially for the population that doesn't have access to social media or website? And then tell them to please call us if they're interested in making an appointment. Would that be valid? Because then they would call us back, or is that something we can do, just to
We-
kind of?
We can we can let the public know that this is a service that we're offering,
Okay,
and it ends there.
okay. Okay, but the
They at
OCs
this
can
point,
call.
they at this point need to initiate and say, yes, I want one.
Okay, but we can call those patients that we've missed out on, and then.
We're threading a thin line when we're calling it, because we're initiating a service that we're
Right.
offering.
But I'm just to educate, just to educate them and say, if you would like this service, please call us back and we can schedule you.
What we could also do is maybe mail it. We could mail them a letter stating,
True.
for your information, we do provide these services. If you feel that you would like to continue,
Yep,
you
yep.
can call the clinic.
You can put that in social media.
Okay.
This is a
So I
service
can
that we're
type up a
offering.
letter and then the
That's acceptable.
OCs can send it out to the patients?
Right.
Okay,
Because that's
Right.
informative.
okay, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else have a question? Any
I have a question,
concerns? Yes.
only because it just came up, and I
On
know
my- on my
different
phone.
questions are gonna come up as we practice this more and more, but say I initiate, somebody initiates an e-visit with me, one of my
Yes.
patients.
Yes.
I document the first time, the third day, I document a little bit more things, and then on the fifth day, I call in sick. I'm not back by the seventh day, can somebody, another therapist close that visit?
I would assume that's completely up to you. You would let another therapist go into your patient and close it for you. But it's the same as any other visit. There's no reason why you can't close it when you do come back and then bill it then. It doesn't have to be closed that specific day.
It's just gonna
Because
stay
the 7-day
straggling.
window's gonna expire no matter what. Like on, what we had on the example, come the 31st, that's it. There's gonna be no more e-visits available. So whether you finish your documentation and bill it that day, or bill it when you come back, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. So,
Is that?
again, that would be your call if you would want somebody to close it for you. But at this point. Anything else?
The e-visit will be done in the clinic, like in a designated area, or where would we do it?
Right, that's what we're planning, at this planning stages right now. So currently, right now, at the West Clinic, we're kind of looking to see if we can have them done inside Rudy's office, all the e-visits done there. Here at the East Clinic, we're looking at Chola's office to do there, again, for confidentiality purpose. And then for the Horizon Clinic, Isaac Zoni's office. So those are the designated areas that we have chosen so far. Again, doesn't have to be that way. You wanna take your laptop and go to the conference room and have an e-visit there, that's completely up to you. If you wanna go to the break room and have it in the break room instead, completely up to you. Cause most of you, well, all of you PTs do have your laptop, so you'll be able to access either Zoom or there's telephones on the lines as well.
But make sure that they're done in the clinic too, only because of the place of service that we have to bill. It's wherever you're providing that e-visit, so just make sure it's done within the clinic, so we
It
can
has to
still.
be in a private
In
area.
private, yeah,
Yes.
but within the clinic, not like at home in the night or like at a certain time, like in the actual clinic.
Right. Anything else?
Great information, thank you,
A lot of
you did a great job.
A lot of hard work from the E team,
Yeah.
Rudy, Sylvia, Lydia, Cassie, and myself. Again, it's changing so fast. We just put in the presentation on Monday. Just yesterday, we had so much more information that wasn't available Monday. Again, it will happen again. Again, I encourage marketing, if you can get that word out as soon as possible, so we can start generating that. Just make yourselves available to do e-visits. If you guys need assistance with anything, do not hesitate to contact me. I'll do my very best to help you all out. I just know furthermore, I'm gonna be super, I've got a couple of meetings with Confluent tomorrow, so I'm a little packed tomorrow. But other than that, I will do the best to make myself available to help you guys out with a Zoom account or whether it is, the telephone's always a great option. Remember that you can't stress it, it's cumulative. I really don't see a need in the 6-1 or the 6 code very often, unless they're a private pay, they're gonna really stick to the original fee, but other than that, let's see what we can do and try to make an impact, try to retain those patients. I think if we aggressively, tell our patients that, suggest it strongly, that they can initiate it, we should be.
I do want to say before we go to the next one is that the leadership team will be getting together to discuss any other questions that might come up. Like the question I just asked today was brought up in a meeting that I had with Confluent this morning, so it's brand new. We didn't have an answer with Confluent, but they're discussing it, and so that information will be forthcoming, okay? But I did wanna ask it, so that in case you guys run into that problem right now, that we'll have an answer for you soon. And then, do not confuse e-visit with telehealth, because you'll see some information coming through sometime, especially if you're on Microsoft Teams right now with Confluent. In Kentucky, telehealth is being used, and this is what Larry said. I talked to many large PT companies today, this was this morning. Some are doing a lot of telehealth visits, and the visits are averaging about an hour with all codes except manual, of course. Just wanted to give you some insight. So they're able to bill 97530, 97110, 97112 through e-visits, or through telehealth. We're not in Texas. So just keep that in mind, that if you hear that, it doesn't apply to us. Thank you.
Okay, and then, we're gonna turn it over, I believe, to Phyllis, to the compliance team. They're gonna have a small meeting with you guys as well.
We're running a little ahead of schedule, so let's take a 5-minute break.